Amazing grace. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound. What is grace? What is grace? Something to think about. What is grace? When we think about grace, we never really think about what grace really is. What is grace? What is grace? Grace is a quality of behavior. Grace is a quality of behavior that is best suited to deal with the mundane and the trivial situations that happen in our lives. Grace simply is the quality of behavior that is best suited for how we deal with the trivial and the mundane. Your grace is based upon, your grace is the behavior. Your grace is the behavior best suited for how you deal with the trivial and mundane or the aspects that go on in your life. This is understanding the challenges of your maturity, your emotional maturity, your overall your emotional maturity, how you direct in your directness, and your sensitivity to the trivial and the mundane. So we're going to say it, break it down one more time. Your grace, the amazing grace, is a quality of behavior best suited for how you deal with the trivial and mundane. That means as you're learning emotional clarity and growing in your emotional maturity, how you deal with the emotional maturity, how you deal with a mundane situation or the trivial pursuits that are happening in your life as you're training, as you're growing, as you're building into yourself, is going to check your maturity, your emotional clarity, how you direct your energy, and the sensitivity of your energy. How sensitive your direction is within the aspects of your maturity in that space. For a lot of us, we get stuck. And this is the aspect of understanding you fell from grace. You fell from the ability to quantify and understand you lost the ability to cultivate your emotional maturity, cultivate how you direct yourself, and you jumping all over the place in the sensitivity inside of certain spaces. For a lot of us, when we come in, you can say the same thing to two different people, and they'll give you two different reactions. One reaction is based on their maturity level. They're both based on their maturity level. That means what they're able to take in based on experience. Their emotional maturity. That means they're not stuck in. That means they're not 38, 40, 25, and they stuck on age 8. Because you can start seeing that to the aspect you coming into the space to like, oh, that's why they act like that. Because they're still in that space in their mind. They're still in that space. They have not learned or gravitated towards that emotional maturity. As you're testing for yourself and learning the aspects of yourself, these are the internal workings or the mechanics of you. These are the internal mechanics of yourself that you get to see outside of yourself based on behavior. Everything outside of you is going to be based on behavior. Everything outside of you is going to be based on behavior. It's going to react. It's going to be the stimuli for your reaction to learn a behavior. To learn how you gracefully swoop through and do the things in your life. That's why sometimes whenever you come into a space that is overpowering in a certain sense, and then you start bumbling around like a fool, you're not able to move gracefully through that situation or have that conversation or speak on certain things or say certain things in certain spaces or adhere to certain information, is because it's triggering the aspects of your ability to take in the direct flow of your energy. It's directly coming to the aspects of the flow of your energy. A lot of us, we come into that space with ourselves where it's like we get something that's new in our life, or something comes into our life, and it's based on the external aspect, based on behaviors. So it's like we're still stuck in impulse. So it's like it accepts my behavior. Remember, everything's based on your inner child. Everything goes to your inner child. So if someone comes and gives you attention, and then you start getting all excited and start bumbling all over your words, it's because you haven't learned to be within that space to actually receive that. Your inner child is sitting there excited as hell. Your inner child is just sitting there excited as hell. Like, ooh, somebody's paying attention to us. Somebody says they love us. Somebody wants to give us candy and food and whatever. Let's go get it. You haven't defined it within yourself. So the directness in that being directed towards you is how you're taking it in. How do you take in certain aspects of information? How have you defined these aspects within inside of yourself for you to be able to step forward and navigate? All of this goes into the aspects of you understanding that you have. This is all of this goes into the aspects of understanding your level of maturity, your emotional maturity, your emotional clarity, your self-awareness in yourself, in being able to navigate through most of these situations. It becomes true to a lot of us that a lot of times we don't like to say certain things, not just because of how they'll react, but in return to ourselves, how would we react in that situation? How would we react in said situation? If somebody tells me something about myself, and then you get upset, like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that about me. You need that. It's going to open up a wound. It's going to trigger you. It's supposed to trigger you. If it triggers you, you are now aware in that space to know how to now navigate within that space. Because how many times have you been in positions where you keep getting the same response to the things that you're doing? You get the same response. Let's say you take the first 3 months of any friendship, job, or whatever it is, and you going good in that first 3 to 6 months in the aspects of whatever you're going into. Then after that 6 month, everything seems to go to shit. They stop doing this, or my job stopped putting me on for this many hours, and my friends, they stop coming around me with this, and this. And now my man or my chick, she's starting doing this, and this. What did you do? What were you doing investing into these aspects of these aptitudes coming into your space? How are you demonstrating? Because that you're going through the grace, that grace period. That's why you have a grace period. That gives you enough, that gives you the space in that moment to be able to learn how to navigate and absorb based on the aspects of how things are going to change within that space. A lot of you, the spirit puts you in certain positions. Your spirit puts you in certain positions so you can now condition yourself to be able to do more. The spirit, your spirit team, your spirits, your ancestors, whatever you want to call them, are not going to put you in a position, just like when I said yesterday about the universe, they're not going to put you in a position based on where you want to go, but where you are at to cultivate the path to where you want to go. What you're trying to achieve. What are you going to invest into this path? The only way that you're going to create the path, the only way you're going to be able to walk the path, only way a path is created is by you walking on it. The only way that you can create a path is by walking on it, by walking the path. So many times that we get stuck in ourselves because we're using the limited aspect of grace in that space, that grace period, to get everything that we want. But when it comes time to get everything that you need, the internal aspect, you haven't defined it internally, therefore you can't get that. They'll never be able to give you what you need. This is the breaking the code. This is breaking that codependency chain that a lot of us fall into. You going into a space under the term of the grace period, you get everything that you want. You get everything that you want. You get everything that you've been looking for because it's based on the external monologue. But when it comes time to get what you truly need, that means emotional clarity, self-awareness, these aspects, since you have not defined them inside of your own self, you can't receive it. They'll never be able to step up to the plate. This is why we try to put ourselves in situations a lot of times where we move in this narrative based on, I've talked about it before, the aspect of expectancy. We have an expectation. Even when we don't say we have an expectation, we put together a contract in our mind long time ago. And that contract is being acted out by the emotions that was the emotional maturity level that you were at within that space when you first set that contract. From how you viewed your life living right now. How you viewed your life living right now, based on when you set the terms of that contract, that's how it's playing out. This is when you start this is why you got to really look at the path that you're on and not look at the results. The results are always going to make you mad and upset. Like, man, nothing's going the way that I needed to go. And then that's when you start trying to go down the shortcuts, trying to redirect yourself down shortcuts, trying to bring things into your space by using others. And when we talk about using others, we're talking about using others' ideas. We're talking about using others' placements, others' purposes, others' assignments. That's the aspect of manipulation for you to do what you're doing inside of your space, to bring it into your space. Instead of first defining it within yourself, because everything's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Everything's on schedule. Everything's in alignment, past, present, future. Everything's in the continuum, is in the right space where it needs to be. So when things start coming up in your life, you're still looking at your path. Like I talked about it last night during the God Hour show. Like, for example, I didn't go to the gym on Monday or Tuesday, but I still worked out on Tuesday. And then when I'm sitting there after I completed my run and my workout at the park, I'm sitting there having a moment of reflection. I was like, I've really grown in this space. I really matured in this space when it comes in terms of my consistency. I've really grown in the aspects of how I direct my energy and how sensitive I am to situations that are outside of the parameters of control. So I control how I'm triggered. This is a growing process for yourself. Looking at the path. You trying to pay attention to results, you will always be misled by the result, by the imagery that you set into your mind. You'll always be upset. You'll always be mad. You'll be like, that didn't happen the way that I thought it should happen back in 1996 or whatever. This happened back here in this one time, and you're always going to be looking for that easy way out. You're always going to be looking for what's going to give you that comfort. Even to the aspect of the first, because it's two sides of that, in the aspects of that polarity, that duality. Stuff's going right in your life, so now the only way that you can say things are going the way you want them to go in your life, on the other end of that spectrum, you need conduits around you that stuff isn't going right in their life. That way you can be like, okay, this is what my life is supposed to look like. As opposed to you learning from the middle point, that transparency for yourself, and sitting there like, if in order for me to continue going forward in my life and continue building in my life, understanding the context of my life, in order for me to come into the space of understanding my balance in my life, I have to start using discernment and not judgment. You see, when you're stuck in that space of having things around you to set the tone to where you're at in your life, so this means I'm here, them being like that means where I'm at is right. That's using judgment. That's being stuck in the aspects of the judgment. So now if that's not going on around you, you don't feel the need to do the work that you need to do. Just because they're around, just because that's not happening around you directly, you feel like you don't have to keep doing the work that you're supposed to be doing. You got to put in this work. The path is going to be constant paths of your work. You stepping into that space like, okay, cool. What am I going to do today that's going to, since today is my only day that matters, and for me to win the day, I got to understand from the darkness or the night before, what am I doing in today? What am I investing into my day to day? How am I learning from the day? What am I learning? How am I moving forward? How am I? What if someone tells me good morning, what do I need to be letting go of today? If someone tells me grand rising, what level do I need, what weight class do I need to step up out of everything's work that you transmute through? So if someone tells me grand rising, what do I need to transmute from, or what weight class do I need to step up out of? If someone tells me good morning, then what do I need to let go? Instead of you getting stuck in, oh, that is not on my level, they ain't mature as me. In the reality of it, anything that you do based on emotional impulse shows your maturity. So if you're reacting to a bunch of things, it's you letting you know that you have a low set of emotion. Your emotional maturity is kind of low. That means you got to go find why your emotional maturity is kind of low. What was the first hit that make you react emotionally in your life? From when you were little to, and what caused from that? Because ever since that point, you've been taking those channels and directing them into every space in your life. I talked about it yesterday on the show, where I was like, I took the hustle mentality, which is a good thing, the hustle mentality from after my father transitioned. But I took the emotional channels from that space. So no matter where I went, because I was going through depression, I was going through grief, I was going through all of these, I was going through emotional work with myself. So that's the only way that I saw myself in every situation that I was in. Because remember, when you're stuck in fear, all you can do is imitate. So I was taking these same channels in every space that I went into. So if it was a job, if something was not there to make me upset, that means I couldn't work hard. If something didn't make me scared or make me feel like I was against the wall on something, then I couldn't do my best. That went into the relationships that I was in. Friendships, relationships, whatever it may be, I was still using the same emotional channels. I was just imitating. So after that 6 months, after a certain period of time, when I wasn't getting the results based on my emotional channels that I have not addressed in myself, that's when everything started to fall apart. I was in a state of decline. I didn't understand the decline or understand that cycle was falling down. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. This is when you start looking at these aspects of these nursery rhymes that y'all been listening to all your lives when you were little, and you're like, damn, homie. You're in a different space now. Being in this space requires a different level of understanding context. Being in this space is going to involve you being in a different level of understanding to bring yourself into balance. You're going to have to use different cues to bring yourself into balance. You can't use the old contexts of judgment to bring yourself into balance anymore. You need to start using the aspects of discernment to keep yourself into the balance of where you at. That's that letting go factoid. Because I just want you to be the best. I want you to be the best. I want you to be the greatest. I want you to evolve. I want you to evolve. I want you to move and expound past all the statues of limitations. I want you to evolve and shift past the statues of limitations that set the tone of where you are at, so you can become who you truly are destined to become. But it's going to take you going into, as the aspects I always say it, towards the end. Everything leads back to that shadow work. Everything leads back to healing that inner child. That relationship that you're screaming for is going to require you to go into the aspects to understand for that inner child. everything to that job that you're wanting, or that big sum of abundant energy in your life is going to require shadow work. All the way down to what drives you. In order to understand what truly drives you to your purpose, to open up that house and open up that shit of gold for yourself, is going to require that shadow work, that inner healing. I want you to be the best because I desire that for myself. God Hour Show, the episode's out now. God Hour Podcast, it's out now. Occult Alchemy, spring line, in honor of my death day. Capital PL216, the number 2, the number 1, the number 6. 30% off whole order. That is in until I decide to turn that discount off. But I want you to be the best. If you're interested and it resonates with you for services, from readings, setting up that consultation, bringing that bill so you can get into the aspects of the therapy that is required for you to heal that inner child, hit me up at GodaCoAlchemistLLC.com or hit me in the inbox. Your grace is the quality that you lost in dealing with the mundane. But it's there for you. Everything's there for you. I love you. We love us. Ashe.